In the archaic period of Greek history, an Amphictyony, a league of neighbors, or Amphictyonic League, was an ancient religious association of Greek tribes formed in the dim past, before the rise of the Greek polis. The 6 Dorian cities of coastal southwest Asia Minor, or the 12 Ionian cities to the north, a dodecapolish forming an Ionian League emerging in the aftermath of a dimly remembered Meliac War in the mid-7th century BC, were already of considerable antiquity when the first written records emerge. Ancient historiography. Thucydides made recollection of the Lelantine War, apparently fought in Euboea sometime between the late 8th century BC and the first half of the 7th century BC. The war between Chalcis and Eretria was the one in which most cities belonging to the rest of Greece were divided up into alliances with one side or the other. Historians have puzzled over the broader meanings of alliance in such early times, but comparatively large-scale associations lead more readily to contacts, to friendships and enmities at a distance than do little city-like units. George Forrest notes, remarking apropos that Phrygia and Assyria were at war with each other about 720–710 BC, raising tensions among interested Greeks. In historic times, an Amphictyony might survive as a form of religious organization enjoined to support specific temples or sacred places. Traditional Amphictyonies coordinated Olympic and Pythian games. 12 members would meet at specific times in the same sanctuary to keep religious festivals and conduct other matters as well. An early Amphictyony centered on Calaureia, an island close to the coast of Troezen in the Peloponnesus sacred to Poseidon, was noted by Strabo. Archaeology of the site suggested to Thomas Kelly that the Sacred League was founded in the second quarter of the 7th century BC. California 680 to 650. Before that date there were virtually no remains at the site, which could not have been used more than sporadically. The island was known at one time as Irene, clearly in reference to the Amphictyony. Strabo lists the polis that belonged, and there was also a kind of Amphictyonic League connected with this temple, a league of 7 cities which shared in the sacrifice. They were Hermione, Epidaurus, Aegina, Athens, Prasiaish, Nauplius, and Orchomenus Miniaeus. However, the Argives paid dues for the Nauplians, and the Lacedaemonians for the Prasians. The Delphic Amphictyony. The least obscure and longest-lasting Amphictyony was the Delphic or Great Amphictyonic League that was organized to support the greater temples of Apollo and Demeter. The League Council had religious authority and the power to pronounce punishments against offenders. Punishments could range from fines to expulsion and to conduct sacred wars. The Amphictyonic League also set the rules of battle as to protect sanctuaries or impose sentences on those who molested sanctuaries. Based on legend, the Great Amphictyonic League was founded somewhat after the Trojan War, for the protection and administration of the Temple of Apollo in Delphi and Temple of Demeter in Anthele, near Thermopylae. The founding myth claimed that it had been founded in the most distant past by an eponymous founder Amphictyon, brother of Helen, the common ancestor of all Hellenes. Representatives of the 12 members met in Thermopylae in spring and in Delphi in autumn. The 12 founders enumerated by Aeschines were the Aenians or Otians, the Boeotians of Thebes, the Dolopes, the Dorians of Sparta, the Ionians of Athens, the Theonakians, the Locrians, Opuntians and Ozolians, the Magnesians, the Malians, the Perrhaebians, the Phocians, the Pythians of Delphi, and the Thessalians. The League doctrine required that no member would be entirely wiped out in war and no water supply of any member would be cut even in wartime. It did not prevent members from fighting about the dominance over the temples. The first Amphictyony, the oldest religious Amphictyonic League, was known as Anthelian, because it was centered on the cult of the chthonic goddess Demeter at Anthela. The 12 delegates were entitled Pylagoi, perhaps a reference to the local gates of Hades, since Demeter was a chthonic goddess in her older local cults. The immediate dwellers round were some small states and also Achaea Thyatus that probably paved the way for the entry of the body of the rest. Boeotian tribes which were living around Thessaly. Boeotia and Thesais, the remotest, may have joined only during or after the First Sacred War, which led to the defeat of the old priesthood and to a new control of the prosperity of the oracle at Delphi. As a result of the war, the Anthelian body was known thenceforth as the Delphic Amphictyony and became the official overseer and military defender of the Delphic cult. A strange and revealing anti-Thessalian feeling appeared and a wall was built across the narrow defile at Thermopylae to keep the Thessalians out. It has been suggested that the shield of Heracles may reflect anti-Thessalian feeling after the First Sacred War. In this epic, a Thessalian hero interfering with the Phocian sanctuary is killed by a Boeotian hero, whose mortal father Amphitryon had for allies Locrians and Phocians. This was a pastiche made to be sung at a Boeotian festival at midsummer at the hottest time of the dog star Cyrios. The name Hellenes may be related to the members of the League and may have been broadened to refer to all Greeks when the myth of their patriarch Helen was invented. In Greek mythology, Amphictyon was brother of Helen, and Graecus was son of his sister Pandora. According to the Parian Chronicle, the previously named Greces were named Hellenes. Sacred Wars. Originally a religious organization, the Amphictyonic League became politically important in the 6th century BC, when larger city-states began to use it to apply pressure to the lesser ones. The oracle managed to become independent from the city of Chrysa, to which the temple originally belonged to. The people of Chrysa then imposed a tax on those who were passing through their area to go to Delphi, causing strong complaints and reducing the resources of the oracle. The Amphictyony, having exhausted all other means to peacefully resolve the crisis, declared the First Sacred War against Chrysa that lasted a decade, from 596 to 585 BC. The result was the destruction of Chrysa and the dedication of this country to Apollo, Leto, Artemis and Athena Pronaea. Since then, the Pythian Games were held every 4 years, under the direction of the Amphictyons. In 449 to 448 BC, the Phocians, wanting to become masters of the sanctuary, marched against Delphi, but the Spartans sent army and restored things, thus causing the Second Sacred War. After the Spartans' departure, the Athenians, led by Pericles, gave back to the Phocians the rule of Delphi and the management of the Pythian Games. In 421 BC, after the Peace of Nissus, Delphi became autonomous again. In 356 BC, the Phocians under Philomelus captured and sacked Delphi and another sacred war was declared against them. After a 10-year war, the Phocians were expelled from the League in 346 BC, and their 2 votes were given to Macedonians who had helped to defeat them. Philip II of Macedonia used this power to further his expansionist policy in Greece. This ended up in the Fourth Sacred War, which culminated in the Battle of Cherone of 338 BC, marking the final domination of the Macedonians over Greece. Decline in 279 BC, the Delphic Amphictyony admitted as new members the Aetolians, who had successfully defended the sanctuary as well as the rest of mainland Greece against the Gauls. At this instance the Phocians were also readmitted for having also participated at the defense of the region. In the 3rd century BC, the Soteria was held in honor of the Greek victory against the Gauls. By 191 BC, the League had 17 members, but only the most dominant one had the 2 votes, when others had only 1. The League continued to exist under the Roman Empire, but its authority was limited to the care of the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. The Roman Emperor Augustus incorporated the Aenians, Malians, Magnesians and Pythians with the Thessalians. Since the Dolopes had meanwhile vanished, he gave their vote to the city of Nicopolis. The Amphictyonic League gradually declined, and in the 2nd century AD, it was replaced by the Panhellenion, established by the Roman Emperor Hadrian, the see of which was, however, in Athens, the emperor's favorite city. Thus, it seems that the Amphictyony finally faded away, although we have no specific date for its actual cessation.